it?
Was it Ming?
No, it's Dickhead.
Oh.
There
Damn.
we go.
I haven't seen Dickhead in a while. But also
I haven't seen
besties.
I haven't seen Dickhead for a while either. Look, you guys got to understand, Rhodes, I always took my job seriously. All right? I had friends back then, too, but I always loved fucking them up. And that's what I want to do. Fuck everybody up. I want to destroy everybody. Everybody. All of them.
Ooh.
Legally.
At least attempting to.
Yeah, but you can't go into the position with I want to fuck people up.
Oh, see, that's what's wrong. Or see, that's where you're wrong. You need to go in there with high energy to get things done. Because I need to rebrand and rebuild this place with Richard. And I'd like for you to be there, too. I always need you. You're my ride or die. If I was gay, I'd be with you.
No, you wouldn't.
No,
I'd still be here.
He's not saying it, but I definitely think Rhodes would consider leaving you for me.
No.
Oh my God, you're insane.
We're kindred spirits.
But, Fred, respectfully, I love my husband, and nothing would change that. Unless he was a worm. Unless he was a worm.
Oh, yeah.
That's fucked up, honey.
He took so much offense when I said this, Pred. I told him I wouldn't love him if he was a worm. And then for the next 30 minutes to an hour, he started crawling everywhere like he was a worm. Now, to be clear, in his defense, he didn't ask if I would love him if he was a worm. I told him unprompted if he was a worm, I wouldn't love him. So I think I may have fucked up there, you know?
Do you think that's fucked up, Red?
No, because Rhodes isn't some worm fucker. All right, look, man. If you got turned into a worm, you would not be my number 2.
I don't want to be a number 2.
Yeah, you do. That's
No.
Dark.
You popped it up on the stairs.
Dark, listen. We've already had this discussion how those people all have agendas, okay?
Well, so do you.
So do you.
Surprisingly,
Holy
no.
fuck, he's right there.
Surprisingly, no.
When did he get there?
You said you would. Okay, that is an agenda. You know that, right?
No, it's not. It's not an agenda.
Holy fuck.
Because I'm gonna play by the rules. All right, and I'm gonna respect you.
Listen, regardless of whether or not I continue, if you become the director, I'm not saying that I'm gonna stick around or I'm gonna leave.
It's not Craig.
But either way, whatever I do, I'm gonna have you at the top of my list. I'm gonna keep a fucking magnifying glass over everything you do. You understand?
Good.
No, it's not good. That.
Yeah, that is good. That's what I need.
You know, my first job that Angel gave me when I became a marshal was to investigate you, keep an eye on you.
Yeah, what else is new?
Yeah, and what happened? We found you, me and Fullhead down at the docks.
Yeah, because I had to fucking end our friendship amicably without me getting shot all the time. Without me getting, I had to end our friendship. Don't you think that that's like the responsible thing to do?
Why didn't you do it over the phone?
Because you can't do
honey,
things over the phone.
Honey, that's like divorcing someone over the phone. No.
It is fine.
No, that's disgusting and you know it.
It is.
Oh, honey, I forgot to tell you. The other day, actually, right in front of the marshal's office, when I bought the apartment, I got approached by a couple prostitutes, and I did tell them that they were not my type. And they said, "What does that mean?" To which I said, I said a few things. I said, shallow is not really my type. And one of them started laughing at the other. And then I also told them, I said, the only thing your personality is giving is snatched, lacking, skinny, if you will. And they took a lot of offense to that. Actually,
that's at the apartment?
No, this is right in front of the marshal's office.
Oh, thank God. They don't know where we live. That's good.
Fred, we moved into the barrio.
Don't tell him that.
But, I mean...
I can hear the cogs turning in his brain.
Rhodes, do you know what I explained to Dark?
What'd you explain?
No, it was just empty.
How all these people, other than me, are going to come in here, they're going to talk big to him, and then they're all going to discredit him and leave him by the wayside.
You know about me?
Yeah, they're all gonna listen. They're all gonna come in here and replace you. You know it. You know they will. You know that they're like friends first kind of people. Oh, Nino Chavez. So I heard he's going for a 4th term.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
How you feel about that?
He said twice now that he wasn't going to run again after his 2nd term, and now he's going on to his 4th. So I don't believe a word that comes out of that guy's mouth at this point.
True politician.
I mean, yeah, I'll give it to him. He's a pretty good politician.
That guy can politicate. That guy can politic. Yeah, that's the word. That guy can politic.
I feel like
true.
Nino is one of the biggest derailers of conversations. Like, I feel like he'll ask something and he'll immediately pivot, bring up like a semi-valid point to something unrelated, and then everyone forgets the original thing.
Yeah, Nino's the type of guy that can take a 5-minute conversation and make it last 2 hours. That's what I like about him. He's a true politician.
No, he's a yapper. Oh, I just saw 3 on the Anders down, and I thought it was you, Pred. I got really excited.
Oh, that's messed up, honey.
Yeah, that is fun.
I'm sorry. I gave me like nostalgia, man. It was my bad.
He's on Chilia. Do you have any left slides?
Dark, listen.
Oh.
Me and you are going to do great things together. We're going to completely rebuild and rebrand this entire operation. It's going to be great.
I don't want to do that, though.
Yeah, but that's because you've given up.
I'll go looking for him either way.
No, it's because
I
I
need
got
to relight
more
your
important
fire.
things going on.
Exactly, yeah, do all that, but I need to relight your fire.
What would you like me to do?
Reignite you.
Love is my only desire. We light my fire, cause I need. You know what? I'm not gonna finish that. I'm not gonna finish that.
Keep going. That was
I'm
actually
not gonna
good.
finish that. No, because the next line, my love is only for my husband, and it's not for you, Brett. So I can't finish that.
Okay.
Cassidy!
Look,
He's full of Chilia.
you know, Rhodes,
Actually, he did
exciting
pull in
times are among us.
Fred, I want nothing to do with the Marshals.
You're right.
Rhodes, exciting
No.
times are among us, baby.
Listen.
Hey, we're back.
I will give you my honest, genuine feedback. I think if given the opportunity, you would, in the first 2 weeks, piss a lot of people off, then realize that it's not worth the headache because of the amount of time and effort required to do all of the things to piss those people off continuously more than that 2 week period. Then you would probably keep alive like one tiny lifeline of pissing someone off or something off or some department off. Hold that over their head continuously by saying, don't make me redirect the resources of the Marshals to insert this tiny thing that someone potentially did wrong, and then probably do fine for the remainder of your position.
No, Rhodes, listen, Dark can tell you that I'm a workhorse. Dark can tell you I'm a workhorse when I want to be. When I'm not delegating and I have to get my own paws and mitts dirty, I get them dirty fast. I had 30 active cases.
Hang on a sec.
Yeah, I had a lot of active things I was looking into. I closed a lot of murders too.
Probably more than the LSPD at this point.
Advise weather conditions.
Well, I got the detective unit removed from LSPD and 4 cops fired. And Sergeant Slacks went into a coma.
I think he might be in a bush,
That's how effective I
I
was.
think he might be in that coma at that point. I can't remember. I think I saw him on Twitter one day, but I can't remember what he said there.
Negative. I can pick up Ben.
Well, good news though, Fred. I don't know if you're aware. Turner's back. Turner's he was one of the original 3 captains.
Briefly.
He's now the chief of police.
He offered me a job.
Oh, in the LSPD.
Take it.
No, I'm a leader, Dark. You know
Oh,
this. Rosie,
damn.
I'm a leader. I don't follow.
Yeah, we know. we know.
I don't follow, I lead.
Okay. Pred,
Dark,
again, you want my honest
you guys
opinion?
need
I
to
think you'd be
support me.
fine. But here's the thing, Pred. Unfortunately, I think the reality of the situation is you pissed off a lot of people during your mayorship up north, and I
What
think
did I
that's
do
gonna.
during my mayorship?
Bitch, you
Tell
paid
me
us
what I
fucking
did.
peanuts.
Okay, listen.
And Ben.
Meanwhile, took tens of millions of dollars for a fucking jetpack for a space program, and we got paid nothing.
Okay, yeah, look, listen. So Predonomics worked. I had Lane County making $15 million a week. And you know, Predonomics worked. Now, what was supposed to happen, Rhodes, is I wasn't intending to pay you guys peanuts for more than a week. But nobody put together a fucking spreadsheet and said, this is how much we need to make. And then, you know, of course, you put a little bit on top of that. No one put forth any effort to prove to me how much they needed. They just kept on saying, we need more money. We need more money. And then I was like, well, logically, how come one person who's, you know, if Dakota's so smart, how come we didn't put together a little spreadsheet saying, hey, I spend X on gas, X on repairs, you know, X on parts, you know, and then I need a little excess for food and to live and stuff like that. No one did that. And I told them that's what I was looking for. And not one of all they did was bitch. Because that's what they are. They're a bunch of bitches.
Okay.
And I allowed Bones to keep his position even though he pissed me off. Then I know they were manipulating that poor LSPD officer into being their fall girl.
Who?
I don't remember her fucking name. I used to be roommates with her, though.
Is it her or no?
Who?
Was it Charlotte Spade?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she's good though.
No way she was doing all that stuff herself.
Wait, what did Charlotte do?
Investigating.
Oh.
No, it wasn't them that investigated. They were getting funneled information for sure.
No, they weren't.
Yeah, they were. I was roommates
my
with Charlotte.
God.
She wasn't that smart. She was EMS.
Y'all hear
He's an
that?
asshole. Yeah,
Honey, I think that was the train horn. Think about it. Public transportation from DeBarrio.
Public transit is nice.
Can
Look,
you
Dark,
call me, please?
we all know I'm getting the job. I'm inevitable.
No, we don't. You're not
that's
bloody
why- listen.
Thanos.
I am Thanos. Listen, that's why you need to support me. You and Barrett need to support me. Okay, you guys need to go to the justices and tell them you want to work with me.
Here's my listen. Regardless of what I think of you, Pred, I cannot go
I'm
to the
great.
justices and be like, I support this guy or I support this other guy, because the justices are gonna have to make a decision, a unanimous decision on who should be the director. And how the fuck can they do that when we've only seen one of them for the past 6 months?
Awkward.
He's heading back to his car full.
Dark, listen, I know what you're thinking, right? That's why I need you to support me, right? Because I'm the one that
you didn't
cares
listen
about
to anything
you.
I said.
I did listen to you. I know nobody knows better than what they're up to than me. All right, because I
Do it.
fucking experienced them. All right.
When? Oh, when you were mayor.
When I was
Oh, okay.
mayor.
Yeah, I suppose. I'll give you that.
All right, I experienced their fuckery directly.
So who's going
They
for this
own me.
position?
Who?
Who? Yeah.
Fred, Cassidy, I think Barrick might. I don't know whether he is or not. Who else? Quentin Quantum, maybe Shot, maybe Callista Bell. I don't know who else.
I have a bone to pick with Callista.
What's that?
I don't want to leak information, but it
Go
has
on,
to do
say
with
that.
tags. Okay. I don't want to get frosted, but holy
me
fuck,
started
did
on
that
tags.
bother me? Oh, you were on that too. Again,
Yeah,
I don't want to
know.
be frosted, so
I
I'll
didn't get
just
spoken
hold
to
it
that.
there.
Yeah, oh, that's a new trigger of mine. Command making reports about shit that needs to be done, but then not actually speaking to the people about it. That's my new pet peeve.
See, that's where you come in. See, that's good. That's what I want you to do.
Alright, just be advised,
This is perfect.
we have the suspect's vehicle
We're
blocked.
on the
He's
same
demanding that the
wavelength.
driver get keys.
Oh
The
my
vehicle currently
god.
blocking his
Fred,
vehicle.
you're
Well,
on
I
like
mean, I
fucking
think-
AM. Everyone else is on FM, okay? Don't talk to me about wavelengths.
Brother, you acting like you're on FM, and if everyone else is on FM, you're definitely not on FM. Okay,
Come on, man.
What the fuck do you mean?
That's, you're
Alright,
like
you're
one of
on
those
A-
old, like,
When you gonna
old
realize you're on AM
sports
with me,
shows
bitch?
re-rolling like fucking 1972 baseball games, you know?
Yeah, listen, we're gonna have. Look, that's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna rebuild. We're gonna offer people salaries. We're gonna buy people to join us.
Fred,
It's rubbish.
you can't do that. And
Sure you
and
can.
here's
MLB does it.
here's why. I don't think there's any amount of money because the marshals already get paid very well.
Unless
Yep.
somebody thinks of
Yeah, yeah.
Fred,
that's why
what would you
sign-on
consider to be
bonus.
a decent
unless you want
a decent amount of money on like a weekly basis?
PBS for now.
Oh yeah.
Mm,
The card's
maybe a
box.
bonus $250,000.
The card's boxed off of a cliff.
A bonus quarter?
I mean, you forget you're talking to someone who had access to the budgets. I know how much money we have and how much money every place generates. The DOJ fund generates all this money, but they don't do anything with it. It was like
Well, yeah. Do you know the
$400
stupid
million.
DOJ fund? It's like every time we bill someone, 75% goes to the fucking DOJ,
He now has
and the
Yeah,
other
it shouldn't do that.
25% goes to wherever the fucking person was billed.
Well, do you know why that is? It's because technically the state runs the prison. What I tried to do, Rhodes, is I tried to get it privatized. So that 70% went to Blanton County.
What the hell?
Yeah, I
You
tried
trying
to
to
get the,
privatize the prison? You crazy? I can't
No,
tell you
I-
what we got on the prison.
it was
but
a
they've
good
been doing some
plan.
wild shit.
We're trying to cuff them then.
All
Yeah.
I'm trying to say is if it was privatized, it would have been a hell of a lot worse.
no, it wouldn't.
Honey,
Would've
I'm gonna
actually
be
been able
real.
to
I
do
want
something with the money.
nothing to
Freaking
do with the
Lincoln
fucking prison because how do they simultaneously request our help, but then we have no power there?
Channel 3 would just be available for
Aren't they relinquishing power there when they call you to help? Because then it becomes a police matter. Like, isn't it like a handoff of power?
How the fuck
Like,
is it
yeah,
a
no,
police
it's-
matter when people are committing crimes in front of me and they can't be charged for them?
Why not?
You
Because
can
it
charge
happened in a
people
prison.
You always have been able to.
You can charge them. What do you want to bet?
I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, technically you can. There's nothing that excludes them from being charged from crime while in prison.
If somebody is in prison and they steal a gun from DOC and start blasting people, what do we
Yeah.
do?
Should charge them.
Charge
Should
'em.
lengthen their sentence for sure.
Well, that was not what was discussed at the time.
I think
How
you'll
long
probably
ago
think
was
about
it?
like
Was this when
the.
Carmine was in
the
charge?
authority
Carmine
stuff?
and Bobby.
I don't know if it was the authority stuff. I don't remember the exact context. Also, fuck Bobby and fuck Carmine.
Oh, what'd they
Damn
do?
straight.
Oh, what'd they do,
Everything, but
Rhodes?
everything they do, man.
You know, both of them
Yep.
try coming at me fucking sideways all the fucking time.
They do.
Yeah, every fucking time. Carmine thinks he's like, he's fucking hot shit. Little does he know, he's pretty much how should I word this respectfully?
Of all places.
He's like a
dumb
flying under the radar diversity hire. A diversity
Yeah.
non-fire. Let me rephrase.
Oh yeah, I don't know how he
Diversity
hasn't been
non-fire.
fired.
That's fucking great. That is a blow to him. Holy shit.
Well, I'm just saying, I've never seen, and you know what? I'm a hold my tongue. I'm gonna hold my tongue. It's okay. And then
The
Bobby,
amount of shit he's done is crazy.
let me just say this. I was working at the kebab shop the other day. I say the other day, a couple weeks ago, right? And I saw a police car pull up. I heard Bobby get on the megaphone and say something like, "What are you doing, fat fuck?" There was a local on the sidewalk. He then intentionally rammed the local and then took off, to which I called him and said, "Bobby, I saw that." And he's like,
When you
"What?
arrest him?
I was off duty."
Oh,
Yeah, I was working at the kebab shop, remember?
oh yeah.
And I thought to myself, if this is what Bobby is doing when no one's looking, like, holy fuck. That's wild.
You got a point. Yeah. You got
Well,
a point.
Bobby is a wild man. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying, how do you lose your job at DOC? Did they quit or were they removed?
I think they got removed.
Oh, they were
though.
removed.
Yeah. How do you lose your job as DOC wardens? No one wants the
That's
job.
because
How
they were
does one
never
lose
really
it?
The warden's Crane was.
I still stand by what I said. Crane obviously isn't going to be dealing with the day-to-day, but how does anybody lose a position that nobody wants? You have to be so fucking atrocious at everything you can possibly do and say to lose that position.
Yeah, funny enough, there's a new warden. Did you know that?
Oh, who?
So it was what's his face? It was Scotty, right?
Yep.
Then it went to Gary
Yep.
Cabin, and then the other day Gary got removed as the warden, but he wasn't told about it. And the second in command was placed as warden, and then he only found out when he came around on duty and was like asked by the lifers. I still don't know why that happened.
Wait, so who's the
Who
warden?
did that to him?
Is it Yuri or I can't remember her name?
Well, who did that to him? Why would they just
the
remove him?
justices? The justices. I don't know why. I don't know the details.
Isn't that kind of why they shouldn't have control over anything? Because something like that doesn't sound right. They should.
Okay, but
that
guys,
should have been like an
let's
internal
not forget back
Yuri.
in
Yeah.
June or July or whenever the fuck all the legislation bullshit happened, everyone was complaining about the state of everything and this is going to be better. And now that everyone got what they wanted, everyone fucking hates it. Who is surprised? Because
That's
I'm
how
not.
it always goes.
Yeah, me neither.
The goalpost moves every fucking time. It's like that WoW Classic meme. You think you do, but you don't. Okay? I'm tired of people saying they want this and they want that until they actually get it and it's no longer what they want because it's never
Honestly,
what they wanted because the goalpost is going to move every fucking time.
Well, in a lot of people's defense, the goalpost was being moved daily. There was constant changes to the legislation, not just like weekly roads in dark. It was a daily occurrence. There would
I
be
know. You have
an
to preach to me.
alteration or a rewrite or something added or new legislation. You couldn't keep up with all of it because it was so much shit.
You still can't keep up with it. There's like close to 100 fucking pieces of legislation, and I, as someone who is very detail oriented, am unable to keep up. It is so fucking stupid.
We need to wipe the slate clean. We need two new mayors to come in and be like, goodbye, all the legislation.
Reduce us down to the fucking Constitution.
Yeah,
Well, the
honestly.
Constitution
I don't
has
need
its flaws,
these
too.
stupid AI fucking written pieces of legislation that no one's ever gonna look at.
Well, look, I
Yeah.
tried to do all the stuff you're talking about, and I got
No,
Yeah,
you
no,
didn't. You removed the piece of legislation that got you fucked too
Dark.
late.
dark. No, I didn't. I removed it a month before, and they never responded to it.
Okay, that is
All right.
actually true. I'll give you that.
All right, and then I was indicted on charges for 2 months. I had to wait a month and a half for a court case. I beat the court case. They tried to speed run me out of office on a technicality, jumping over the processes that they themselves put in place. All right. You know what they told me when I said, "How the fuck can you guys do this without an ACR or a fucking impeachment?" They said, "Well, it's there, but we don't have to do it." And I'm like, "You guys are supposed to be the ones that designate the processes that you made these processes. You can't supersede them to get something that you desire." I can't help it if the Constitution allowed me to do that.
Well, just because you can doesn't mean you should, Pred.
Exactly.
Well, Andy, listen, Andy Jones was a terrible mayor. All she did was hang out with
No, she
BCSO.
wasn't.
She was awful. Blaine County had no money when I went in because all the money went to the cops.
Yeah, and instead, all the money went to you to buy a stupid jetpack.
Here's the thing. In my time as mayor, Blaine County made well over $100 million.
Yep, and otherwise, if it wasn't for a sense of community up there in the BCSO, people would have quit their fucking jobs, Pred. And then there wouldn't have been a BCSO.
Help them build a stronger relationship.
No, you can't argue that.
He laughed when he said it, honey. Don't bite.
I pushed them
Don't
together.
bite.
Pred, if
I mean,
you
I did
had
them
to
a favor.
live on the budget that we had, and when I say budget, I mean the individual pay of officers at that time, you would have crumbled immediately.
Okay, but how come nobody came to me and said, "Hey, this not you, Rhodes,
Pred,
listen, you
none
say
of
that,
us.
but
I say this
not
as
one person
someone.
came to me.
I say this as someone
one.
who was around daily at that time. I had no idea that's what you wanted.
I think, well, isn't that what anyone wants? Is conversation and communication over something. It's not like I was just cutting your pay as a fuck you. I was cutting your pay to see where Blaine County was at as far as money generated. Because
yeah, but you're saying you were
generating no money
until you were making $15 million a week, Pred. How can you not draw the conclusion that, yeah, you know, these people can be paid money more than what they're currently being paid, and we can still generate millions of dollars and not keep it at, what was it, $700 an hour?
Hold on, that's naive. You're being a little naive because you're a little biased, and I forgive you. What should have happened is it could have just been all it took was for one or two people to come talk to me and say, hey, we need more, instead of just saying give us more money and shouting at me, just saying, hey, this is why we need more money. Isn't it common sense? Like, I feel like, look,
I can't afford to feed myself. Pred, if you were around, which I know you were, you would have heard every deputy complaining about the dog shit pay that they had.
Well, I probably would have tried to come up with a program for, like, you know, using the money that was like that we had in our lockup from the arrest we made. I would have tried making a program for like vehicles that we seized to like sell them to the public and use the money for our police department.
We don't seize anything. Everything goes to the marshals.
Yeah, but that's where. But here's the thing. That's
Vaft cars, honey, go to the marshal or the judges. Sorry,
open dialogue and tried to build something. But I remember one time someone came up to me and said, I'm not making enough, so I said work more hours.
Yeah, but then their daily costs go up with more repairs.
Look, I know what you're thinking, and I know what you're saying, but not one person tried to work with me, so why would I work with people that didn't try to work with me?
I think you're looking at things under a microscope. You are like... Unfortunately, I don't think you looked at it from like a macro perspective at all. Well, no, actually, I think that's a lie. I take back what I said. I think you understood the consequences of that happening to a department entirely, and I think you thought to yourself, well, I don't care.
Well, you got lucky
because it didn't affect you directly. That is what I genuinely think.
Well, let me tell you something. Do you know what I almost did, but I decided not to?
Remove the sheriff and put someone else and then increase the pay?
No, I didn't do that until they gave me no choice. There was something else I was going to do. I was going to say, listen, if you guys want to make more money, you got to trim the fat. You got to get rid of some of the deputies because we don't have the budget to support 100 fucking cops.
You can't say that when there's $15 million every week coming in, Pred.
Okay, but the only reason why it got to that point is because the PD pay up there was $2,700 an hour. All right, I fucking quartered that shit, and then no one talked to me. So the only reason why we were able to achieve such high money, and well, I did also hike taxes up. I fucking taxed the shit out of Blaine County, but nobody came to talk to me. And then there were other things. So here's the thing: there's more things than just police. That all right. You know what the Blaine County Mayor's Office oversaw? So many things. Are you aware that Andy Jones had it so fishing paid nothing? Had it so that hunting paid nothing? Had it so that there was barely any wildlife around? All right, there were so many jobs that were suffering to take care of the bloated police department up there. Everything else
Fred, name
was
one hunter.
sacrificed.
One hunter. Just one.
That's because none of them would hunt roads because there was no reason to. They made no money. They made nothing.
Yeah, but surely if this is an argument, you know, your argument for the police department's low pay was nobody approached you. What hunter approached you? What fisherman approached you?
Tons of them. And
one
lumberjacks.
name, Fred. One name. Just one.
Her name was. She had purple hair. She had a black shirt. She went on to run some type of racing thing for Nino. And then she got a whole bunch of people to hunt when I jacked it all up. All right, so look, here's the thing, right? You got to understand that you're a little biased in the situation because why does everyone else have to suffer for a bloated police department? You know, I mean, everybody else had nothing. The people who did the fucking woodwork, the people who did the lumberjack, the people that did the hunting, the people that did the fishing, the people that did security, the people that did trash pickup, the people that did tow. All of them had to suffer tremendous pay cuts, And that's why we're living with the repercussions of that now, because Andy Jones drove all that shit down to zero, paying them peanuts so that she could
I got
sustain
crazy
the
going on.
BCSO.
I gotta get out of here. You guys have fun. Good to see you guys.
All right, bye, honey. Love
Clark,
you.
tell them about me. Look, you gotta understand that, Road. Look, you know I'm not an idiot. You know this better than anybody. All right?
Mm-hmm.
I just require people to work with me to a certain degree. And if they don't work with me to that degree, why would I care about their needs? Especially, if I may say, to a group of people that tried to get me arrested at my own inauguration and got me pulled away. I didn't even know where to get my fucking keys. And I had to go deal with a 2-hour fucking stupid trying to get me charged with a felony crime for something that it was a warrant that shouldn't have even been approved. It was stupid. And now the person that approved that warrant picked him to be the sheriff.
Wait, huh? What?
You didn't know about that?
But who? I'm confused. Who was the...
Aspen Gray was the sergeant that approved the warrant for a crime for me to be arrested for a he said, she said thing with no proof and no validity at my own inauguration. I literally got pulled out of my own introduction into office with Justice Angel at the time because I had to go deal with them pressing a fucking felony charge against me as soon as I came into office. So let me ask you something. Why would you work with those people if they're not willing to work with you? They had the only thing they had to do was demonstrate to me that they were a willingness to, they didn't have to like me, but a willingness to work with me. So then what I just did is they didn't demonstrate that, so I focused on working with everybody else.
I can understand. No, I'm at least acutely aware of what had occurred, but obviously I don't agree with it. But at the same time, you know, this whole like trim the fat pred. Let's not forget we were the fucking underdogs in the BCSO way back when.
Yeah, but we didn't but our budget was taken care of. We had enough money to support the people we hired.
Right, 100%. But if we didn't, you know what we'd be doing? We'd be fighting for that budget.
Well, what we would have done is we would have tried to look for a way to get the money, but then if no one was getting paid, then we would have had to trim the fat. That's also a very realistic thing that we probably would have had to done if we wanted to keep our department and keep it functioning so that it could grow. We would have had to short-term trim the fat in order to build it up later on.
Well, there is no building up later on.
100%. We would have fought for it.
But yeah, but Pred, the reality is there is no building it up later on. Like there will never be. There's very little source of income up north in comparison to the city. City makes what, hundreds of millions of dollars?
Oh yeah, down here they have down here between the DOJ and
they have stupid fucking money.
Yeah,
the fact that every ounce of income pretty much stems from in the city and very little goes up north is wild to me. Like, I'm sure you know, considering you were the mayor, like even the tow related stuff. The fact that 3 of 4 impound lots are up north, and yet the only income from towing comes from the city because there's only one place to unimpound it, despite the fact that the Blaine County is paying for the 3 tow lots up north. Like, that's wild.
That's true. You're talking to someone who did a lot of tow work too, Rhodes. You realize that.
I know.
I did a lot of...
I know, but you know what else is crazy? Despite this crazy amount of money, I find it, for the city, to be clear, I find it very odd that there is no sort of like supplemental income from Los Santos County to the Blaine County for the assistance that they receive with Blaine County officers.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, here, look, here's another thing you got to realize. All right, I was trying to privatize a bunch of business too, so that way it would have generated more money. All right, but it didn't pan out that way. Okay, it didn't get to happen, which is unfortunate. And then also another thing that I looked into that I almost did was I was going to take a fucking loan from Nino's from the Los Santos County, but essentially they would have fucking owned us because we would have had no way to pay off the money. We would have literally been America and they would have been China. All right, we would have just been fucking accruing debt and then making the minimum payments off to the Los Santos, county, and I didn't think that would have been good for us long term. I mean, I could
Yeah,
have
no,
done
I
something
agree.
shady. I could have done something shady, like be like, oh, I'm in office for 3 months. I'm going to sign a 3-month deal where I don't have to pay anything and pawn it all off on the next mayor. Because I could have authoritated that, you know. But I chose not to do that. We had to build our own money up somehow, and unfortunately, you know, we generated more money from hunting, fishing, and lumber than we did from the police department. Did you know that I generated more money from the fucking prison than I did the police department? And all of these groups weren't even half the size of the BCSO. That's why things had to be done the way they were, because
What
everything
did you
else was
just
so
do?
much smaller, generating the county more money. And then the BCSO was losing me $5 million a month.
Yeah, I mean, but at the time there was a lot of I don't necessarily want to say unknowns, but a lot of things not enforced. Like, if a scene happened in the South, everyone would get taken to Mission Row. Now, pretty much without fail, doesn't matter how small the crime is, if a BCSO officer is processing, they're taken up north, because that's the only way that Blaine County will ever see that 25%.
What did Princess do? I know she's been mayor up there for a while. What the hell has Princess done?
I mean, I haven't spoken to Princess all that much. I do know that we get paid a good wage now, which is nice, not having to worry about shit. Like, you know, you put in the hours, you get paid a decent wage. You're not sitting there thinking to yourself, well, I'm going to have to work the next 4 weeks to be able to get a new set of brakes for my car that already barely stops with the best available.
That's why you should come work for me.
Brad, you know that's not going to happen.
Yeah, but you. Listen,
I'm not
roads,
going to ever be a marshal. Like,
roads, but what if we could? What if we listen? The city, we could build something. Me and you. All right, me, you, and Richard this time. We could. There's an listen. Do you know why I'm going after this and not something else, like sheriff or fucking chief or some shit? This has far more potential than either one of those things.
I think you used the wrong. I think you used the wrong P word, Brad. I think you said potential. I think power.
Both. It's both. It's both. Okay. With power comes limitless potential.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. Listen, I think as long as you go into this with the mindset that how should I word this? The mindset of which I think you're starting off on the wrong foot, considering you immediately started saying things like, you know, Cassidy, Bones, and all that stuff. I think you need to sort of, well, on your, you mentioned it during the phone call or whatever, like you got any dirt on so-and-so. I think you have to start like fresh slate, Fred. To a degree, I don't think you should blindly ignore things. But if people know that you're going to go into a position like this, if you do get it, with those sort of,
I will.
Yeah, well, I know. Well, no, I said I noticed something different. I don't know if you'll get it. I think Barrett has a better chance, just based upon.
Listen, Barrett or Barrick? Which one?
Barrett, not Barrick.
Barrett wears eyeshadow, works 20-hour days, and has a face tattoo. And didn't he ACR all the fucking judges on the docket?
Yeah, I think. But Pred, you have to understand, sometimes you have to do things that are seemingly harsh, but are the reality of the situation. And even if you're on the receiving end of an ACR, you have to acknowledge that someone is at least putting in the time and effort to look into those things, right? It's like when someone is playing survival, Pred. You're on survival, you fuck someone over, guess what? When the jury comes and they're there to vote, they sit there and they go, that was a respectable decision, because had we continued, I would have made that play. And despite voting someone out, they might end up getting that vote because they were willing to play the game and do what was necessary at the time. Who knows? Maybe judges are complacent, right? My husband was sitting there saying,
that goes without saying,
they have to make a unanimous decision, and who's around?
Falconer.
And how many are there in total?
5. Oh, yeah, 5.
Yeah, 4
5
or
of 'em.
5, something like that. Yep.
That's what they said, 4 or 5.
Yep. The fact that you can name one is concerning.
Well, Falconer's the one that I talked to directly,
Mm-hmm.
and he was the one that was there that conducted my interview alongside Justice Weiss.
Well, point still stands. If only
Yeah, I get it.
one.
Listen, I get what you're saying. But my interview was so damn good that I can't be ignored. Look, I made it completely clear that I want to work with them. If I have to work with them, I want to have a good relationship with them. All right, it's that simple. And I told them I harbor no grudges. I'm not here. Here's the thing. Can I tell you something?
Go ahead.
It's just me and you here, right?
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
The only thing is I'm not targeting anybody. All right. No one in specific's being targeted, right? And that was Dickhead I was on the phone with. He's not going to have any information on any of those fucking people. This is me fucking with your husband. At the end of the day, Rhodes, the most important thing to recognize that this director position is a political one, and I have to work with these people, and I have to mend the relationship that the marshal's office has with all these people because it ain't good. So I already demonstrated, made it clear to them that nothing will stop us from working together. That I understand that we have to have a good relationship, and I'm going to do the same thing with the LSPD and the BCSO. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And if they refuse to work with me, then I just authority conduct review them, or then I just go talk to their boss, the mayor, and say, hey, listen, I'm trying to work with these people. They're not entertaining any conversations with me. You need to do something about this. And I'll even leverage for them to be removed from their positions. I don't think I'm going to have any problem with the LSPD. Fucking your chief offered me a fucking job. It's the Blaine County, it's the BCSO. Because I don't know where they're at. You know what I mean? I have no idea mentally where these guys are at or what they even want. I couldn't get a read on them. Right? It was a very confusing thing because most of the time I can understand what people are desiring. I can understand what people want to achieve. All right, but when it came to the BCSO as a collective, I couldn't get a read on what they wanted. They told me that they didn't want money. They told me that they wanted money. They told me that they didn't need fast cars. They told me that they needed fast cars. Like, these guys didn't even know what they wanted. All right. And this was an everyday occurrence, Rhodes. It would change up. I would literally tell them, hey, I want to work with you. Let's come up with some programs. Tell me what it is that you need. Not one time did they assert themselves to fucking take an hour to put something together to put on my desk to approve for funding for it. All right. They didn't try. They didn't even touch their own. They said they were so down bad for money. I monitored their account. They didn't take any money out of the Blaine County budget. They had enough money to sustain a week. They had enough money to sustain probably a couple weeks. They made no effort to do anything. So I couldn't establish is the only thing they want is me gone. If so, that's childish because I'm not going anywhere. All right. So they had the means to take care of themselves, Rhodes. They had the means to communicate with me. They know when I'm around. I was around every day at the same time. I literally told the people in their own meetings, put together plans, bring them to me. We'll have a discussion over it. Doesn't matter what it is. We'll try and figure it out. Not one of these people did. Now, is that an issue with the department? Is that some type of cultural issue with them? Is it like purely ego driven? I couldn't get a read on these people. So that's why I just ignored them because they didn't demonstrate the ability to be able to do anything, to try anything. So why would I waste the effort when I already put the effort in and it was fruitless? There's so many things that you don't know, Rhodes, that went on. I just want you to understand that I did try. I could have pulled Bones out immediately. I chose not to. What I did do was, instead of just removing a piece of legislation, I wanted to develop trust with them. So I tried doing it the way that I didn't have to do it, where it was public. Of course, it gets contested because they're worried about themselves. Meanwhile, I pulled Bones aside. I pulled Cassidy aside. I said, listen, I'm not trying to replace you. What I am trying to do is build a department up north to drive foot traffic up to Paleto. All right, and they stood in the way of that. All right, They fucked me at every point just to fuck me, even when I was transparent and talked to them. I literally told Bones and Cassidy this. I can do whatever I want. I'm doing this as a way to kind of build trust with you and your department. And instead, they sought out to fuck me. When all I was trying to do was put someone in power in Polito to have like 9 or 10 cops that could be on patrol and work up there while I focused on trying to get people to run the casinos. All right. There was no getting a read on these people. They didn't want cooperation. They didn't want anything. They just wanted whatever. They're very a very selfish group of people that have the inability to work with anybody. They hate everybody. They hate the justices. They hate the judges. They hate the LSPD. They hate Nino. They hate me. They hate the current sitting mayor. They, at what point do you got to realize what the issue is? The issue is this group. That's the issue. The issue is this group of people. My bad for going off on a tangent.
No. I think you bring up some valid points, but you do have to understand that because the BCSO was not an original department and sort of broke off from the LSPD and were the underdogs, much like we were for the longest time. I'm not kidding when I tell you the BCSO is effectively larger than the LSPD, which is exactly what happened, Pred, when you and I took over the BCSO. When I joined the BCSO was a fraction of a department of the LSPD, right?
Government was different back then.
I agree. I agree. But you have to understand that because we didn't have to worry about money, we didn't have to consider, like, I'm not going to say the overall needs, because those needs were sort of like satisfied already, right? Unfortunately, because the BCSO now was put into the position of having to fight for every single thing they've ever gotten, every dollar that they've ever requested, ever used, like the increased amount of scrutiny with the money ever used regarding anything PD related, yes, of course they're gonna sit there and
they have to fight.
Pred,
Andy Jones gave them everything they fucking wanted, brother. Andy Jones gave them everything.
That's not true. That's not true. Andy adjusted our pay on a weekly basis, depending on the current budget. You can sit there and say she was overpaying us, but when you reduced our pay and we're making $15 million a week, we were the ones struggling.
You guys know I didn't reduce your pay that much, don't you? It was at 1,500 when I came into office.
And that's still very low.
Dropped it down to 600.
Yeah, Pred, that's not even just a little. Pred, just for context, a one across repair is $2,000. One across, $2,000. $600 an hour, Pred. You'd have to work 4 hours.
Hey, but do you know what I did during a meeting when I came into office? I said, let's put together a plan to get all the stuff covered for them. Their car parts, their repairs. I was going to get all that stuff taken care of for them. But why would I do that for a bunch of bastards that wouldn't fucking work with me? So that's when I was just like, fuck them. They got enough money in their fucking BCSO budget. They can tank this shit for a little
bit. But Pred, you also weren't... Listen, I'm not saying either side was innocent here. I think the stuff that happened to you when you first became... I think the stuff that happened to you when you first became the mayor was uncalled for and should have never happened. And yes, I do think that to some degree, obviously that's to reflect on the department as a whole. To some degree, I don't think the entirety of the department should have been punished as a result. But
they weren't, though.
They were, because you sort of perceived that as...
you're not aware of.
Okay, hit me with it.
So I literally pulled Bones and... So I talked to Cassidy privately because I couldn't... Getting a hold of Bones was impossible for me. So, I mean, I talked to Cassidy privately. I told him, hey, look, I don't want to fuck with your guys' department. I don't want to tell you guys what to do. I don't want to replace nobody. I just want you guys to do your thing, and I'm going to do stuff around it, right? I literally pulled him aside, said this pretty much verbatim, that I'm not going to fuck with you guys at all, even though you think I will for some reason, despite me barely ever talking to you guys. But that's a different story. Anyway, what I did was I just said this. What I'm probably going to do, though, when I first come into office, I'm going to reduce your guys' pay so I can see where the county generates its income from, loses its income from. It's a lot easier for me to see if I reduce
with the baseline. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because the PD was the bulk of the pay for the North. So I reduced it by a decent margin. I reduced it by 60%. And then I let Cassidy know that we'll revisit this in a week. And then all that happened was I went to a meeting. All right, I remember exactly what happened because it's one of the things that pushed me to realize I can't work with these people at all. I went to the meeting to ask them to literally give me information about how things are going for the current pay. And pretty much as soon as I go up to the podium, I'm being screamed at by Cassidy. I'm being screamed at by everybody in the room. I didn't even get a chance to fucking speak and ask anyone questions about anything before all these people are just fucking screaming at me, shit-talking me, not showing me an ounce of respect. So at that point, I said, fuck them. All right, because they didn't try to present anything. Like, I couldn't even have a conversation. All right.
Well, here, well, hold on. I have to ask because obviously I wasn't there. How were you actually like presenting yourself? Was it the typical Pred slow walk to the podium?
Of course.
You have something under your breath. Then how can you expect these people to try to work with you, Pred?
Because they have no choice. Because I delegate I set their fucking pay. And sometimes you gotta play the fucking game, and sometimes you gotta acknowledge that someone can fuck you, and what you do is you gotta go along with it. All right? You gotta acknowledge that someone can fucking destroy your shit and take everything from you, and you're forced to work with that person. They acted like were the ones with the fucking power. Don't you see the issue with that? They didn't recognize who fucking held everything. And they, for some reason, thought yelling and screaming at me is going to make me fucking increase their pay. I went back to the office and I cut it down more.
I'm not surprised. But if you do that, well, we're not politicians,
This is
Fred.
why you're needed.
We're not politicians. Listen, the reality of the situation is you lack a level of tact, and I know that because I know you very well.
But I'm very direct.
Yes, I agree. But again, you don't have a level of tact required to deal with a large group of individuals under you. And when I say under you, I don't mean like
What do you mean?
No. I don't mean in like a sheriff to your own department thing. You being an entirely separate department, having a level of power regarding to budget related stuff that can affect everybody's life in that department. You see where I'm getting at here? Like you intentionally held things over people's head, and I understand your frustration given what happened to you at the very start. 1000% I do. I don't think that ever should have happened. I think that could have been resolved fairly easily. And unfortunately, again, because of your level of tact when dealing with people beneath you, indirectly beneath you, I should say, because again, not your department, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. You being the mayor and you're being people in the PD. That level of tact is 1000% what caused relationships to never develop. Because that was never an issue with Princess. It was never an issue. Well, whatever the key point is, I can assure you would have never been a problem if you didn't intentionally sort of like...
No, so here's a key point that you might not be aware of. All right? The BCSO heavily endorsed, the fuck was her name?
Summers?
Andy Jones's deputy mayor. Yeah, Eve Summers. Summers. The BCSO was campaigning for Eve Summers. They were vocal supporters of hers on Twitter. All right, they essentially
put you down.
Exactly. All right. You know how many times I got told. All right, so I went to several times did the mayoral candidates went to the BCSO to talk to different groups of people. I went there once, and then they told me that they weren't taking me again. Right. So they already tried smearing my political campaign. They openly campaigned against me. They slandered me on Twitter. I ignored all this stuff when I was coming into office. All right. I was giving them a fresh slate. Hey, where's Richard?
I don't know.
Doing?
I don't. He's looking at something.
Got binoculars out. Looking at stuff. He's looking in the other direction now.
My husband having my back. Who would have thought?
Honestly, yeah, he's a good guy. That's why I want him to be my I want him to be my my guy. Because the other people, poor Richard, the other people are going to come in here. They're going to talk about all this stuff, and then they're just going to replace him. They're just going to discard him. I already know how these fucking
have you
people
ever
are.
considered? Have you ever considered getting diagnosed with ADHD?
No.
Why not?
No, I haven't. Don't have it.
Okay.
I just took 2 scoops of Gamer Subs today. You're not supposed to do that. And I got a fucking lipper in.
Oh.
I'm jolting, but my chest is a little numb, but it's normal. That's normal.
A little numb. What's your heart rate? Is it too damn
I like
high?
a solid 140, 50.
What? Hello? You need help.
Solid. No. Everything's good.
Okay.
Look,
Well-
let's look, I get it, right? You don't know everything, and guess what? To a certain extent, I don't know everything either. All right, but all I'm pointing out is that this group of people continuously can't work with anyone outside of their department. And I mean,
You would do the same shit, Pred. I know this because don't forget, you and I, do you not remember when we had to sit there, you and I, and go into the same fucking office? It was me, you, it was, I think Bass at the time. When Abdul was the mayor, was that it? And they were trying to change shit, and we had to point out how fucking stupid shit was, and that we would not be on board. You know damn well, Pred, if you were in the same position, you would have done the exact same shit.
No, not the exact same at all. What we did was we went down to the fucking mayor's office. For some reason, Bass mobilized the police department with class 2s when we all marched down there. You remember that? And we went back and we talked to the fucking mayor, and we pointed out to Bass how fucking stupid this document was, because he essentially wants to sign over our power to the mayor. He wants to essentially give the mayor control over the police department because Bass didn't read it.
Pred, holy fuck, you want to know the wild thing?
What?
That's how it currently is. I think the stupidest fucking thing in our legislation is giving the mayor any power over the police department.
Agreed. I believe it's a sacred... Listen, you know the sheriff position is important to me. It's probably important to you too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I was going to literally legislate it that it has to go to a vote. But the thing is, though, the way the Constitution's written, all right, guess what?
It is what it is.
Any mayor that comes in can supersede it. No. It is what it is. Hey, that guy's looking at your car.
He's walking past.
Wait, Richard's meeting that guy.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
What are they doing?
I don't quite know.
Yeah, he's like, is this like a rendezvous?
No. Pred.
They having like a lover's rendezvous? No, he'd never cheat on. He can't do better than you said. He's doing that.
You think I should go out there and check?
Honestly, you should. You would be a bad husband if you did.
Yeah, hold on.
And I'll be looking through, and I'll be peeking.
One more.
Hand that over to me, and I'll hold on to it just for now.
Annie's everything okay?
Yeah, everything's good there. Mr. Kelly was just come down and answer some questions. All right, come inside, sir.
All right. I tell you what, I'll hold the door
Hey,
open
welcome
for
to
you.
the marshal's office. I'm the future director. It's real nice to meet you, sir.
Fred,
Richard
I will
Dark,
charge you for
he'll
felony
take care of you.
obstruction.
He's a good marshal. I said future. I said future director, didn't I?
I just need a frisk you before we go inside, okay?
Huh.
At Richard, he's always ready to jump the gun when it comes to me. That's why I respect him.
Pred, I actually think I have a solution to a lot of the North versus South drama. And I've already brought it up to you, and I'm going to bring this up to Princess or whoever ends up being the new mayor.
Heard Marty Banks is running.
Yeah, I don't know who I should vote for. I'm actually going to vote
go
now.
up there and cast a vote for.
Wait, where does the vote get cast for up north?
Princess. Oh, you just do it all from. You always do it here at this courthouse.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought you were like when you said you got to cast a vote up north.
I want to go cast some ballots.
Yeah, actually, I do. My solution is considering the amount of money that comes in down here. Genuinely,
Taking a loan.
no loan. The Los Santos County should just supplement the North's PD cost, considering we're always down here doing shit.
Nobody would relinquish their own power without having control. or authoritative say.
Well, I disagree, and I disagree on the basis that, from my understanding, remember what I was talking about regarding the tow trucks and how there's 3 of 4 impound lots up north that the Blaine County pays for, but there's only 1 in the city, and despite that, Blaine County pays for all the costs up north and doesn't receive a dollar.